Get to our guest, please. I'm sorry.
So, kick out the jams, kick up the soul, pour another glass of that rock and roll, turn up the band, find the hole, gonna lose control tonight. What do you want?
That is the Annie Fry theme song. Annie Fry with us right now from the Annie Fry Show Saturday nights here on FM News Talk 97.1. I always want to kick my heel into the ground.
That's
all
how
my
you know
Kentucky
it's a good song.
relatives are going to be proud of me. I look like I'm dancing when I hear that song.
Make you want to move.
It makes me when I need to move. That's a good thing. How are you?
I'm
all right?
here and I'm well.
I'm glad you're recovering, you poor thing. You've
Yeah.
had a little illness that's kind of knocked you sideways here the last couple of weeks.
Pneumonia.
So that's not a little illness, is it?
No, it's weird to be an adult, a mother of three, and have to just shut it down.
Oh, I'm sure.
You don't actually think that's a possibility until you have no choice but to shut it down.
I don't know. Yeah.
So that's what I've been working on.
That's it, because everybody depends on you, and suddenly you just don't have it.
Yep,
The energy to
I have
deal
a
with it
partner in
anymore.
crime who's been very, very helpful, and I wouldn't be able to do it without him. But that's for sure.
Yeah. So you shouldn't talk about Jeff Allen like that.
Oh no, I'm talking about my husband.
Sorry about
Jeff
that.
was kind enough to allow
Yeah.
me to stay in bed,
I understand.
which is really more courtesy to everybody else around the building. So
Let me get your thoughts on this Comey thing. I mean, I went into it earlier with, to some extent, saying what I said here a minute ago. I kind of encapsulated it, but it's like blood in the water for the media. It's blood in the water for the Democrats. It's one more thing for them to latch on to. If this Seth Rich thing is true, and he was sending things to WikiLeaks, the Russian collusion story is going to go away soon. So this memo thing from Comey gives them something new to latch on to that they can then move forward with their constant assault on Trump.
I liken it to this. When I was 16, I got a car. I wanted to get a job. I got a job working at the nice restaurant in Edwardsville. It's PK's. Used to be Pizza King, and it turned into PK's. Very nice restaurant. Lovely place to go. When you learn what the kitchen looks like, when you go from the front of the house to the back of the house, and it was a well-maintained kitchen, but it's not the front of the house. When you see where everything is made, when you see the back end of things, it's just not as attractive. It doesn't look as nice. It doesn't feel as good. And what we're doing here is we're seeing the media do to this administration, in my opinion, what the media is always supposed to do, which is always supposed to press. It's supposed to press on this administration, every administration, to make sure that you hold them accountable. The problem is, in this country, we have a very selective media. We have a media that doesn't want to press a Democrat when they're in charge, but they want to, cut the legs out from every Republican that they can get in sight. So we can't trust them. So when it comes to Comey, everything is political. Every move is political. Is he coming out with these memos now because it's advantageous to him? Are we watching the chess game? Or is there something to this? The problem is we just don't know, because the motivation behind every piece of information that is put out in front of us, there's an angle. So I'm watching this and I'm going, it doesn't look good. But is this the first time in the history of administrations that something like this has happened, or does it happen all the time? We're just getting to look at the kitchen instead of the front of the house.
No, it's a great point. I was listening to Outnumbered on Fox this morning before I went on the air. Melissa Francis, who's on the Fox Business channel, was on there, and she talked about, they played the clip with George Stephanopoulos calling for impeachment and Chris Matthews calling for impeachment, and it just goes on and on and on. And she said, it's getting to the point where it's kind of hard. It's hard to watch even for the professionals who are in the business. Listen. Whoops, I'm sorry. We potted up? Then that must have been operator error on my part. Hang on, I was afraid I had something playing in the background. Listen.
Coverage of this has been very difficult to watch, and to get the real story is extremely difficult for the American people. And you wonder, if you were to take a page out of the Clinton War Room strategy book,
George Stephanopoulos' book,
and George Stephanopoulos, why can't the president just say, look, I'm going to let this all work itself out, and I'm going to focus on what the American people need, and I'm going to get back to work while it does work itself out? That being said, there's part Harris that we left out that Donald Trump just said at that commencement speech. He also said, I did not get elected to serve the Washington media. And he did make that a major point there. And that is a very fair and a very good point to reiterate at this stage in the game.
Yeah. It seems like the media are reading the talking points of the Democrats almost. And maybe I feel that way because I'm defensive about it, but as an observer, I've been watching this professionally for 30 years,
Sure.
but as a talk show host for 7 or 8 years now, and I've never seen it this bad.
Yeah, and it's not like conservatives are all of a sudden coming to the table and saying all of a sudden that the coverage isn't fair. We've been saying that through the entire Obama administration. There have been things that the media chooses to turn their head from and just not report on, which is as big of a decision as how you choose to report on something. So when you select your stories, that is the same angle that goes along with how you communicate those things. And this does become an entire there are some really important things going on in the world right now, and this is what we're focused on. We have national security issues that are potential threats in the world. We've got a president who has been elected to invoke some tax reform, to repeal Obamacare. There are a lot of things that we need to be focusing on right now, but the media controls the narrative because they have vested interest in it. They have an angle, they have a side. And that is where we come into the situation is post their laundering of that information.
Right, and they completely distracted us from some of those other issues. I didn't see a lot of coverage of these folks who went to Congresswoman Ann Wagner's house and sketched body outlines in her driveway as if these were where dead bodies would be left behind because the Affordable Care Act might be overturned. And they went to her church and protested at her church. I didn't see national criticism of those sorts of things because they tend not to do that.
But the Tea Party people.
Yeah.
Oh, those awful Tea Party people.
Remember that?
That is a perfect example of how the media controls the narrative because the Tea Party people were painted out. And you look at what the IRS did to the Tea Party.
Sure.
So
Persecuted.
there's absolutely a bias that is present. And when you look at what people are actually doing in our own yard here to Ann Wagner, and nobody even reports on that. It's because it's crazy and it's disadvantageous to the messenger. So that's left by the wayside. But when you talk about the Tea Party people and how they're classified, man, that was a big story for a long time.
Sure, and classified and stereotyped to an extent. And you're right. I mean, it's never going to be fair, but when you see it as unbalanced as it is right now with people like Chris Cuomo and George Stephanopoulos, that just makes me want to bang my head against the wall. One thing I wanted to talk about while you're in here, and I honestly don't have Annie on the show just because she lives in the People's Republic of Illinois. I don't have her on the show just to talk about Illinois stuff. Not at all.
I survive in the People's
You survive in the People's Republic of Illinois. But jokingly, I'm just joking. But budget issues have ruled the day over there since Rauner got elected because he's trying to right the ship. And then I read where there's a group of people who are marching from Chicago to Springfield to draw attention to the fact that they need a budget. Do you think we don't know that? Maybe what you need to do is strap Mike Madigan onto a stretcher and wheel him from Chicago to Springfield and drive home to him the whole way. You need to cut some expenses so we can get a budget.
Yeah, make him pay attention to somebody
Thank
outside
you.
of Chicago.
Yeah.
This is a group that is organized by Fair Economy Illinois. That's the name of their group. And Jason Church and I were just doing a little Wikipedia research. Their group used to be called Make Wall Street Pay. So if you
it's
want
the Occupy people.
They're against state budget cuts and they want higher income tax on the wealthy people. It's the same old. And what they're going to do, because they have all the time in the world on their hands, is they're going to actually march from Chicago down to Springfield to make a point.
Are you suggesting they're unemployed?
I'm saying they have time on their hands. Maybe they have extra paid vacation time.
Or mom and dad might have kicked them out of the basement for a week to clean it up. I mean, then they got a little extra time.
So they can finish up the safe space down there in the basement. You know what we need to do? We have a senator, Dale Ryder. He's from Mattoon, and he is proposing reform to our pension problem. And the pension problem is the biggest problem that we have in the state of Illinois because it's insolvent. We can't pay what we have promised to pay because those lefty legislators in Springfield robbed themselves from they took the money out of the pension fund and it's not there anymore. They are the ones who screwed the pooch there. And the people who are expecting these pensions are going to be a product of this major mismanagement. But State Senator Dale Ryder from Mattoon is proposing that we move new state government workers to voluntarily leave the pension system, and now they can join a 401k style plan that is currently available to state university workers. I know some myself that are on that plan, and they like it. 20,000 state university workers have opted into this because they can manage it, because it's under their control. They're not relying on some...
And the union bosses don't want that because it takes power away from them.
Correct.
Right?
But we need more reform and action like this, and less marching from Chicago to Springfield, throwing your hissy fit down 55.
Well, it's a good thing they're walking, because these are the same people that have driven that state into the ground in the past.
Yes.
That attitude, right?
Yes.
More spending, higher taxes, unbalanced budget for years.
Yes.
I mean, it's just it's ridiculous.
A budget that is passed that is unbalanced is worse than not passing a budget.
I would agree with you.
And we need to learn some fiscal responsibility.
Maybe the pension reform idea kicks in. Remember, we wanted to do that with Social Security, and the Republicans, or the Democrats, all claimed that old people were going to starve and there wouldn't be enough money. And what happened if Wall Street crashed and you were investing your money instead of having it in the safe hands of the federal government? It's just ludicrous. It's about people not wanting to take responsibility for their own futures. They want somebody else to do it for them.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to.
This is a voluntary proposal that the senator is putting on. Let some people take their own responsibility for their own financial future. And if I were in the position to do that, I would very much so want to consider that, because I wouldn't trust the future of the pension system in Illinois. Nobody should.
But you're a responsible adult, and they're not.
I am a millennial.
That's right. A responsible millennial adult.
And I get it. Come on, people.
Yeah. Thank you. So if you don't get it, let me recommend that you listen to Annie's show every Saturday from 5 to 7 right here on FM News Talk 97.1, aptly called The Annie Fry Show.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're feeling better.
I'm working on it every day.
Great. Annie Fry, thank you very much. Hey, when we come back, I'm going to get some